Hi, my name is Alexa Valenzuela, and for this video response, I chose to mainly focus on the platform one, especially the aspects of two characters I can relate to or identify with the most. I'll be looking down for some of the portions of this just because I have notes, but yeah, my main focus is the analyzation of two characters. So let's get into it. First of all, I do want to say I chose platform one specifically because I felt like platform two was very brutal. There was a lot of crazy scenes, and I couldn't really find a character I could relate to. And the other movie I felt was very confusing. I really didn't understand the point of it. I think it was very different from platform one and platform two. So I think like the differenceness kind of like threw it off for me, so I couldn't really find a way to identify in that movie. But to start off, the first character I can identify with was the lady that had the dog. I believe her name was Imoguri. I can't figure out how to pronounce it, but overall, you can tell she was strong-minded. You could tell that she was very idea-focused, and from the moment she entered, you could tell that she believed in rules, she believed in organization, and she believed in a system. Especially when it came to like the orders of levels and making sure everybody would get an equal distribution of food. And you could tell right off the bat when the scene came up that she was telling the people below her that she would make a portion for them and that they had to make that same portion for the people below them. She was the only one that believed in it. Everybody else was kind of abrupt with their food. They would eat it off the table. They wouldn't care what they were eating. They would kind of just shove it in their mouth. So yeah, I think she tried her best to educate people both above her and below her. And I feel like I can relate to her the most with the idea of bureaucratic idealism. Her strong belief in having a set system that can make everyone be fair and everyone eat the same amount. And the idea of fairness comes only from cooperation. I feel like that last part was what I related to her as the most, because I think it's so important for people to be fair, and without being cooperate with one another, fairness won't happen. And that was the idea that she tried to set on people, but obviously with the selfishness and with the idea of only caring for themselves, that was kind of hard to achieve. And you can kind of tell that her ideas changed and she became desperate, especially once her dog was killed and eaten. You can tell that she kind of didn't care anymore. Like all those like set stone ideas kind of like went away. And it kind of feels like she failed because she was so desperate. And the realization hit her that people are selfish and that they only cared for themselves. And I think that's also a way I can relate to, because once you like do something so often and that idea kind of hits you and that realization hits you, it kind of drifts you away from paying attention to what your real goal was. The next person I feel as I can identify with was Hironki, something like that. It was the guy that took the book in to the platform. And he was the protagonist of the movie. He went in there due to his own free will, which I think is very, like, you have to be very strong-minded to do that. He chose it to better himself, or so he thought, going in with just book to entertain himself for this day, thinking he's just gonna grow and make himself, like, improve himself as one. But he's faced with the harsh reality that you go in there and you have to sacrifice everything. Throughout the film, we definitely see his character development changing from an honest man to one that has learned how to depend on stuff that he doesn't regularly, especially having to depend on violence to survive, having to depend on pretty much eating one another to survive, especially if you're in those bottom levels. And the reality of being a good, honest man always doesn't fix things. or even just the reality and the concept of the good doesn't fix the bad. And I think it was hard for him to kind of understand that and having to accept that for himself. And I think that's something that I relate to because of him. Like, sometimes it's hard to accept things, especially if you're so accustomed to doing one thing, you're so accustomed to being good that people aren't seeing it, and you have to kind of like accept to be bad. So yeah, I think that's definitely a way I can relate to him. But in the end, I feel like the movie overall was pretty brutal. It was selfish and it was true to the watcher. It made you question morality, definitely, and inequality as a whole. And it made you question if a system really makes people, like, if a system is made through the kindness of people and the respect of people, or if it's made through the selfishness and disrespect of people. It makes you question, like, really the morality, where it comes from, and especially how it's made. Like, if it's through culture of people, if it's through the idealism of people, if it's how someone's taught, and how it shapes a person. So I think overall it was a really good movie to watch, and I think it makes you question so many things because everything is just everywhere. But yeah, those are the two characters I relate to the most, and I definitely recommend this movie to whoever hasn't watched it.